Hey, happy Wednesday. We are going to start right away with our quick write. I want to know, what are some of your interests and hobbies? What do you like to do for fun? One of my favorite hobbies is to sleep and eat, which most of you probably already knew. What kinds of jobs might you do when you get older that could include your hobbies? So think about those things. So really, I'm joking with just the sleeping and the eating. I like communicating with other people. I always have liked teaching other people different things. And so I took those skills. Oh, he's over there. I took those skills and I became a teacher, right? Okay. So think about that. We are also today, along with listening to chapter 3 and 4, you are also going to be thinking about not just like the random questions like we did yesterday, but you're also going to be thinking about those themes and those motives that we did last week with Dark They Were and Golden Eyed. So let's start off with our vocab and get some vocab practice so that you know what some of these words mean when you get to them. Again, Mape is sitting on the couch. Mape, say hi. Okay, so here we go. Chapter 3 and 4, your first one is chastise, which is scold. Petulantly, crossly, or sulkily, like if you're sulking. On page 29, we're going to read about bewildered, which is confused. And then serene is peaceful. So now what you are going to do is you're going to use those 4 words and fill them in on your vocab practice. So I was completely blank and wondered what I had done wrong after my friend fled the room in tears. Sounds like they don't know why the friend left, right? If you are confused, you are. Okay, good. Number 2, the teacher did not blank the misbehaving child aloud, but instead just gave him a stern look. Number 3, the quiet pitter-patter of the rain on the rooftop made me feel blank and relaxed. And then the little girl pouted blank when her mother wouldn't buy her an ice cream cone. You're only going to use the words once. There's only 4, so cross them out as you use them. If you need to go back, I'm just going to keep on going through the lesson. Remember, you should just pause me, do your work, and then listen when you're ready. Next, annotating and writing gist statements. We went over that yesterday. I'm just keeping this on here so that you know what to do when you're annotating and taking these gist statements. What I want us to go to is that theme and motive review. So remember, theme. Theme is the moral lesson of the story or chapter. So you use the problem, the solution, or what happened after the problem in the lesson learned to make a universal theme statement. Now that you're reading more complicated books, as you're getting older, you're not just going to see these really simple theme statements, okay? Especially when you're reading a novel, you're not going to see the problem, the solution, the lesson learned right away. You could have the problem in page 1, the solution on page 300, okay? So what happens is we have these motives, which are the subjects that reappear throughout a text, okay? So these are emotions, ideas, situations, character types, objects, settings. What are these subjects or these topics that are reappearing? And they're going to be like almost like little mini themes, okay? So they're these little subjects, and then you're going to keep seeing them. One that we are going to see throughout is this feeling of being different or being unique, okay? Now, unique and different are similar, but also kind of different, right? Unique is a little bit more positive, where different seems like a little more negative. But either way, you're thinking, you're going to see this happen quite a few times and be brought up throughout the story of Jonas being different or unique. And how does that fit into the community? Okay, so in this, as I'm modeling for this beginning part of chapter 3, I want you to be thinking, how is he different or unique? Okay, Now, that is one that I pulled out after I read. You're going to see, remember at the beginning we talked about like utopias don't have pain or fear or any of that, right? But as we see Jonas develop and get older and go into his profession, we're going to see different motives that come up based off those subjects. So you need to keep thinking, what is something that I'm seeing a lot? What is this reoccurring subject? And how could I turn that into a theme statement? Okay, so I'm going to go into our practice 1 of chapter 3. Remember, you on your Google Doc, as you're following along with me, can bold and put your comment boxes off to the side for steal. If not, if you are not doing that, write it on a separate piece of paper. Show me that you're doing that, and keep these notes throughout reading the story. Like I did yesterday, I just had that piece of paper, and I'm just going to keep those all together and just kind of add to them. There's like 22 chapters in this book, and they're very short, so we're going to move through them really quickly, but that's a lot of information. So if I can keep these little gist statements and these little notes, I'm definitely going to know what's happening from beginning to end of the story. Okay, here we go. Chapter 3. Oh, look, Lily squealed in delight. Isn't he cute? Look how tiny he is and his funny eyes. And he has funny eyes like yours, Jonas. Jonas glared at her. He didn't like it that she had mentioned his eyes. He waited for his father to chastise Lily. What does chastise mean? If we go back to our vocab, we know chastise means scold. So Jonas was waiting for Dad to like scold her, to kind of not really yell at her, but like, hey, we don't bring that up. But I am going to stop for a second. So I know we're talking about Lily. I see Jonas's feelings here as well. But what Lily says is he has funny eyes like yours. That's important to note. If she's saying he has funny eyes like yours, obviously we know Jonas's eyes are different. Jonas glared at her. He didn't like that she had mentioned his eyes. And I'm going to underline that as well. So off to the side, and if you're on a different piece of paper, I'm going to put Jonas. And then I'm going to take little notes, so I'm going to put different eyes. It's also important that we're noticing that the baby that Dad is nurturing, we're going to find out more and more about him as the story goes on, but that he also has these different eyes because something might, I'm going to take these off, something might come up with that, okay? So here we go. I'm going to keep on going. But Father was busy unstrapping the carrying basket from the back of his bicycle. Jonas walked over to look. It was the first thing Jonas noticed as he looked at the new child peering up from the basket, the pale eyes. So that's a big thing we're going to underline as well. With different eyes, I'm going to write pale. So they look different because they are pale. Almost every citizen in the community had dark eyes. I'm going to underline that. His parents did and Lily did, and so did all of his group members and friends. So we're seeing this difference, right? Almost everybody has dark eyes. Jonas and now this baby are like two of the only people that he knows that has these pale eyes. And we might meet other characters that do as well, but they are very rare and unique and different. But there were a few exceptions. Jonas himself and a female 5 who he had noticed had the different lighter eyes. No one mentioned such things. It was not a rule, but was considered rude to call attention to things that were unsettling or different about others. I'm going to underline that. Unsettling or different about individuals. So, for me, I'm going to put, because we talked about Jonas, and I'm going to put the community. And I'm going to put some notes about the community. I'm going to say dark eyes. And I'm going to put you don't talk about differences. Now, guys, remember, they're in a utopia. They are in a perfect world. If there are people that are different and you're noticing the difference, that's going to make people different and possibly treated different, right? Whether good or bad, okay? And so when we have these utopias where everything is perfect and everyone is equal and all of this stuff, it is important to notice that, sorry, my computer is like really hot, so I'm going to try and pick it up a little bit. It's really important that we see how they handle these differences and things like that. Okay, so I'm turning the page. And that's all I'm going to read right now for chapter 3. You guys on your own, again, I have the link for chapters 3 and 4. I also have the link for the audio on YouTube. I have the directions for when you read. Here are the questions that you're going to be looking at. Lily is talking about how much she enjoys the newborns, but mom has a very harsh reaction about the birth mothers. So birth mothers are people that are assigned to have all the babies. What you're going to learn about in this chapter is that families do not have babies on their own like we do now. It is not like my situation where I'm going to have my own baby and it's going to have like my DNA. What happens is that these birth mothers are the only people that give birth to babies. So if a family wants a child, or they're supposed to have, every single person is supposed to have 2 children in their household, these birth mothers are responsible for having those children, and then they have to give them away, okay? They don't get to stay with these children. As soon as they're born, they're taken away to the nurturers, like what dad is, and they are taken care of by other people, not the mom that gave birth to them. So that is their whole entire job. So I want you to think about how that makes you feel, especially if you are a young lady and that could have possibly been your job, is that you just constantly have babies for other people, okay? And then in this chapter, we see where there is foreshadowing at the beginning, and it comes back. Jonas is throwing an apple back and forth with his friend and says that the apple changes. He also says that it isn't different and is the same nondescript shade. So nondescript is like lacking distinct or interesting features. So they're throwing this apple back and forth, which you're going to read about, and it changes somehow to Jonas. And then when he gets it, it's this like same nondescript, like plain shade. And I want you to think what that means. And what we learned about at the beginning of chapter 3 of how Jonas has different eyes. And now we're seeing that he's seeing things a little bit differently. And we're going to see that come up quite a few times. I don't want to give you too many clues as to what that nondescript shade is. We are going to do a really cool activity that I'm going to link next week, probably on Monday, so that you can experience what this shade is and what it looks like to the people of the community as you move forward. Okay. And then chapter 4, where does Jonas decide to go to volunteer? And then a man was released from the house of the old Roberto. So again, we're hearing that word released. The other old people there said that they had a wonderful celebration of his life, and then he was released. Jonas asks where they go when they're released, and no one knows the answer. So you need to think back to yesterday, and what do we think happens when people are released? What do we think that actually means? Okay. So then you have your gist statements down at the end that you need to plug in. And at the end, here's your motive. So in chapter 3, we see a different side of Jonas. What is a reoccurring motive that we see here? Uniqueness, outlawness, or defiance. And do you think a society tolerates or allows uniqueness? And then you are going to take your exit ticket for the week. And I will have a video on the exit ticket for you up next if you want to listen to me read the questions. Okay, see you tomorrow.